Right, shall we get started, Jacqui?
Yeah, absolutely.
Super. Okay. So the format of this evening is I'm joined by Jacqui, who is in our clinical team, and Jacqui is going to be on hand when we break out to a video section of tonight's launch, where we'll actually be showing you the EPN pen in action, and Jacqui's going to be there just to answer any questions, particularly around the clinical aspect of the treatment. So we're going to go through the theory of microneedling. We're going to talk about all the sort of frequently asked questions when it comes to microneedling. And we're also introducing you to a brand new technology, which is electroporation combined with microneedling tonight as well. I'm going to start us off. I'm going to go through some of the theory, and then Jacqui, I'll give you a nod when we're ready to take a Q&A.
Amazing.
All right, great. Okay, so welcome to our live virtual event. We are very excited about this evening. I've even put glittery eyeshadow on for the first time in about a year. So that's just how special tonight is. But seriously, it's something that is very new, very unique to Lynton, and has got some really interesting information, I think, to share with everyone tonight. So ask as many questions as you can, drop them into the chat box. We'll go through as many of them live tonight as we can, but they are all recorded, so we can always come back to if we miss the odd one, but hopefully we'll have plenty of time to cover everything and run through them all. So let me just give you a quick introduction to who Lynton are, and then I'm going to go through our return on that investment as quickly as possible. So we will be going really in depth with all of the costings, what's really involved with bringing microneedling and EPN pen into your business. Your EPN pen. Did I lose my connection there, Jacqui? Is that why you popped back
slightly? Yeah, just slightly.
Okay.
You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, we'll carry on and we'll see how it goes. But you'll be thrown in at the deep end if I ask you to just take over. But you'll be fine. The slides are very self-explanatory. Okay. So I think it'll be all right. Sometimes it does this a little bit, but it usually calms down. Okay. So we're going to be sharing with you an exclusive offer tonight as well. So this offer is only available to those of you that are on this webinar with us tonight. And it's an exclusive offer basically, which guarantees that you will not only pay off your EPN pen nice and quickly, but that you will actually continue to build a really successful growing customer base as well for it, and that it gives you genuine, repeatable revenue, on a regular basis for your business. Quick introduction to Lynton. For those of you that haven't met before, my name's Hayley. I'm the Sales and Marketing Director at Lynton. And we are a company that is huge in the UK. So we've over 50 people that work for Lynton, the biggest team of after-sales support staff in the marketplace, huge team of clinical trainers, engineers, technical support, marketing support. And we've really built Lynton over the past 27 years it is now. We actually started out as a spin-off company. We have a lot of PhD physicists who actually are on the board of directors at Lynton, who are very much about credible, science-based technology. That has good. So we build and we manufacture our own devices near Manchester, and we also distribute devices on behalf of some other companies as well. So we're lucky enough to be the UK Lynton devices, and that is ES Global and also DECA. And we regularly are approached by a lot of companies actually asking Lynton to distribute on their behalf in the UK, but we're very selective about the brands that we choose to work with and only go for the best, those with great those are really values that we have, which are reliability, integrity, and quality. And so without further ado, I'm introducing you tonight to a product from EPN Microneedling technology. So it's the only device that combines microneedling with electroporation. And I will go through both of those things in a bit more detail and talk about, why would it be a good idea to combine both needling and electroporation together in the same treatment. So the reason it's called EPN Pen is that's electroporation needle technology. So we'll talk a little bit about microneedling and sort of start there, really. Good place to start, talking about the past, the present, and the future of microneedling. It's actually been around for quite some time now. In the early 90s, there was one of the first papers actually published about microneedling. And are intrigued. A doctor that released this paper where essentially they'd got a needle and they were using it in like a subcision type method where they inserted the needle underneath some scar tissue and essentially sort of poked around a little bit. And that stimulated collagen production from the ground up and could actually raise depressed areas of the skin and improve the appearance of pitted scarring. And so that was sort of officially the birth, so to speak, of microneedling. And then in 1996, Dr. Desmond Fernandez did a drum-shaped applicator for fast and practical application. So this was like the onset of what we know now today as the traditional needle roller. So this little drum had the skin and the little needles punctured the tissue and created a wound healing response. And it's really just grown massively since then. There's been different techniques that have been tried and have been used. So you can see a group of doctors published a paper here about using more of like a tattoo gun style applicator. So it's almost like tattooing, but without the pigment, without the ink. But they actually found that it didn't really take off or become particularly popular, that method, because there were a few too many needles in the applicator that they were using, and the actually having too many needles was causing too much trauma to the skin and actually wasn't creating the nice even wound healing response that ideally you would be looking for in the aesthetic environment. So the rollers really sort of took off in the 2000s, 2005, 2006, the marketplace was really flooded with it. To see now a general trend to move away from the roller options. Some people still love them, but there has been a general trend of a move away from there, just because if you use more of an automated stamping style device where the needles go straight in and out of the tissue, as opposed to rollering through the tissue, and it creates a bit less of a pull and scratch type effect within the skin. So it is considered to be by many a little bit of a cleaner, slightly better way to do things when you use a pen device. And in 2015, Real Self, who are a consumer orientated educational cosmetic website in America, they reported a 57% increase in interest in the treatment by readers in 2016. So about the mid 2000s, consumers really started to catch on to microneedling. And it's just grown and grown in popularity from there, to the extent where in a 2020 aesthetics survey, the NHBF actually revealed that microneedling was one of the most common non-invasive procedures in the UK market, performed on average between 1 and 5 times a week. So there's a lot. And now here we are today in 2021 with the world's first microneedling device with electroporation. So bang up to date, latest electroporation. So what is microneedling, or sometimes it's called collagen induction therapy, CIT? You use it's a minimally invasive treatment. It treats all sorts of things on the skin. So you've got conditions such as like acne scarring, surgical scars, traumatic burn scars, alopecia, hair loss, general rejuvenation of the skin, drug delivery, stretch mark treatment. So a really wide array of different indications that you can treat with microneedling. And it's essentially just inserting very fine, small needles into the skin to create a puncture. And you can do that at a variety of depths. So you've got options in the EPN pen, for example, from everything from 0.2 millimeters up to 2 millimeters. So you've got a variety of different depths that you could work on to stimulate the wound healing cascade. And of course, that in turn encourages the dermal remodeling. So as we know it, the production of collagen and elastin and increasing dermal thickness. What about pigmentation? Yes, of course, pigmentation as well. Okay, I've just popped into the chat to see if my connection is okay, and a lot of people are saying that my connection is not okay. So
it goes in and out, but it does catch up on itself. So I can hear you perfect, but it'll just cut in and out. So it's not the worst connection.
Okay. Shall I continue?
Yeah. If you need me to jump in, I can.
Okay, all right. I will persevere. I'll try and speak slowly, a bit like a robot, and then we can go from there. Oh, there's a good question here about needle depth and medics or non-medics. So it's really interesting. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that at some point. Okay. Okay, so let's just go through the wound healing process in a little bit more detail. What's actually happening within the skin when we actually do needling. And there are three general stages of wound healing. You've got inflammation, proliferation, and when you describe this to a customer, we're probably using quite simple terms. You know, you create wound healing, and that stimulates the production of collagen and elastin, and maybe we'll go into talking about glycosaminoglycans, etc. But there's an awful lot that we know as professionals is going on within a wound healing response. And so we'll just talk about this in a little bit more detail. We do offer a microneedling masterclass where we can go into this in more detail. But talking about inflammation, almost immediately you get clotting in the wound and it will close. And that, of course, will depend on how aggressive you've been with your microneedling. You know, clearly 2 mil needles are going to take more time to clot than, you know, say a 0.5 or something that doesn't even go through into the dermis. It's just epidermal. But either way, you get activity. So it actually is amazing. You don't have to get blood to initiate the wound healing response. Even a scratch on the surface of the skin will to some extent create or signal that wound healing cascade to happen. So even things like microdermabrasion, you know, can stimulate the wound healing response to some effect. But clearly, the more aggressive you are with your treatment, the more aggressive that wound healing response is going to be, or the more stimulated the response is going to be. So within the inflammation stage, you get macrophages, leukocytes, and other phagocytic cells that kill the bacteria, and they help to break down the damaged tissue, and they start the release of growth factors. And this typically lasts for about 3 to 4 days. And then by the time you get into the proliferation stage, we actually have growth factors. There's a lot of activity going on, and that you get all sorts of different growth factors. You get fibroblast growth factors. In fact, that's a term for collection of chemicals within the skin. You actually get all sorts of different types of fibroblast growth factors. You get transforming growth factors, you can get epithelial growth factors, you can get epidermal growth factors. So there's a lot of these growth factors being produced, and they are key to this wound healing process. And at this stage, it's worth noting that there's also oxygen is inducing a wound, and as the body is dealing with that, it is putting stress on the tissues and on the cells. And so this is why combining things like vitamins, antioxidants are hugely beneficial when you're doing anything like this type of treatment, preparing that's going to be going on during this time as well. And all of that is designed to, is it bad?
We just missed that last part.
Okay.
It did cut out for quite a period of time. So
you've got this hugely favourable environment of growth factors, and also sorts of different growth factors. So growth factors, transformative growth factors, so basically lots of different growth hormones, chemicals produced at the wound site. And it's important to note that there is also stress on the cells at this point. So there is oxidative stress. And so things particularly like vitamin A and vitamin C are very good at assisting with this stage of wound healing, the proliferation, not just to encourage the growth factors, but also just to ensure that we have the skin in as healthy a state as possible, and we're reducing the amount of oxidative stress. So then we move into remodeling, which is where all of the really amazing things happen. Neocollagenesis, so production of new collagen, elastin, a change in the type of collagen have in the area. Things like epidermal stratum spinosum thickening out, so the skin really plumping, increasing in thickness, getting more glycosaminoglycans in the area, which are fibroblasts with muscles. That's how you should think about them, essentially. So fibroblasts with muscles, they actually sit themselves onto the collagen fibers, and they exert a longitudinal force to actually sort of tighten and realign the collagen fibers. So there you go, fibroblasts with muscles, as if fibroblasts couldn't get any better. So what I'm leading towards, or what we're more and more aware of, is the combination of topical product when you're actually doing microneedling. The problem with, of course, applying a barrier, your skin is literally built for the purpose of keeping things out. So it's very difficult to get large macromolecular structures to absorb well within the skin to the extent where you can actually get them inside the cell. But it's so beneficial if you can, because it really is assisting in that process of wound healing, which is just going to multiply your results, mean that you achieve better, faster, quicker, safer, less downtime results. So that's really I mean, the physical action of putting the needles into the skin creates a physical channel, and that does mean that you can get increased penetration, absorption of topical product. So just by needling, it's well known, isn't it? Using serums alongside, or PRP alongside microneedling is really beneficial. But we still have some issue with those macromolecules and getting them actually inside the cells. And this is where electroporation really comes into its own. So there are multiple studies out in the marketplace that show that utilizing electroporation can increase the permeability of the cell so that you can actually get micromolecular structures within to move actually within the cell. And so what is it? How does it work? Well, look at this image here. You can see the little needles going into the skin, and then you can just see something happening around each one of those needles. And so our EPN pen, every single needle acts like a little electroporator. And what that's essentially doing is it's passing little electric pulses through the tissue. So this is the cell wall. These are the topical molecules surrounding it. And what happens is, as that little electric pulse from the EPN pen needle passes over the cell wall, it actually causes these transient aqueous pathways. So it causes these little channels to actually open up within the cell wall, and that allows you to just push that product more effectively actually into the cell. And electroporation has been shown to significantly increase the transdermal product delivery. So what does that mean? It means more effective application of topical ingredients, better results, less risk of side effects, reduced downtime. So clearly we want to do our microneedling with electroporation with some very high quality topical products. And that's what we have available for you with the EPN pen. So we've got two different serums that are available. HSR serum, which is all about skin rejuvenation. And then we also have, quite interestingly, a HD serum, which is about hair regeneration, so increasing hair growth. So I'll run through some of the ingredients within these, but essentially they are serums that you get in these small vials, and you apply them onto the skin and you use the EPN pen directly over them. So they're a serum to be used in combination with the You would choose between obviously the skin rejuvenation serum or the hair regrowth serum, depending of course on what you were treating. And they are an absolute cocktail of ingredients, though, so your skin is going to absolutely love these. You've got things in here like growth factors. So not only are we stimulating growth factors by the process of needling itself, but we're just encouraging that proliferation of cells. We're encouraging the activity of the wound healing process by actually adding growth factors inside the cell, because we can use electroporation to get these products really absorbed like nothing else at the moment in the marketplace. You've of course got hyaluronic acid, a cocktail of vitamins, amino acids and minerals. So things like vitamin C, really good for keeping the oxidative levels down, of course an antioxidant, making sure that the cells stay as healthy as possible whilst you're doing your needling. Treatments. And then vitamin A is a very potent serum here for you to use alongside your EPN pen. Just giving it a minute because I think my connection went a bit unstable there, so hopefully back up and running now. Okay, so this serum, this is the hair growth serum. So this is actually very similar, because a lot of the mechanism that you want to happen around the hair follicle to help stimulate growth is similar to that of the wound healing mechanism. So you need the vitamins in the area, you want the growth factors in the area. There are slight alterations in this particular one. So you've got VEGF, vascular endothelial growth factor. So this one here in particular, that's all about the blood vessels, encouraging the growth of blood vessels around the hair follicle so that you get increased blood flow, you get better circulation to feed that hair follicle. So a slight tweak here versus your HSR serum, but really interesting application to use this to increase hair growth, both in alopecia and just in natural hair loss. So perhaps there is a good place to have a little pause and just check in and see, how am I doing with the connection? Okay, I think it seems okay, so we'll keep going for now. Got some really interesting questions. I will come back in to answer a lot of these questions as we go through. Okay, so microneedling wise then, why do microneedling in your practice? Well, I would imagine we've probably got some people in the audience now that are already doing microneedling. So why don't you pop into the chat box for me, you know, some of the reasons why you think microneedling is successful for you. You know, what is it that your clients like about microneedling? What do you like about microneedling? Some of the obvious ones are it's a very safe treatment, you know, as opposed to things perhaps like CO2 lasers, or laser assisted resurfacing. You don't have quite the same level, so a little bit safer. And let's see what your thoughts and your experiences on this are. Scarring, it's safe, yeah. Anti-aging, minimal downtime. I think that's got to be one, because we're just getting such less downtime versus some other procedures. And yeah, great great amounts of collagen remodeling. So like there's a study here where there's a 400% increase in collagen and elastin. I've seen some studies that are really, the amount of dermal thickening that you can get is amazing. And interestingly, I read a study by a group of German doctors recently who found that a 1 millimeter needle gave the same results as a 3 millimeter needle. So this is a published paper with less downtime, less pain, and less side effects. So I think that's quite interesting, because that study, it sort of goes against what we've thought about previously. I think previously we have, I've spoken to a lot of people that say, if you don't get blood, it's not going to work, you know. And I think that when we initially started our microneedling, it very much was that idea, that really feeling there's a general trend away from that now, that people are starting to realize that epidermal trauma can stimulate a lot of dermal remodeling. So even a shorter depth can be as good as a longer needle depth. Now, I'm sure it depends on the indication. I can imagine some deep scarring might need deeper needles, etc. But it's, yeah, a good inflammatory response doesn't need to have blurs, because the thought of needles and the thought of blood, you know, that's going to put off a certain amount of people, but not necessarily needed. So it is really in demand, has a really high return on investment. No, someone's asked, is this study about EPN Pen? It's not from EPN Pen. I can send you the study if you like, but it says 2008, so no, we didn't have an EPN Pen back then. Okay, so let's talk about some of the particular features then of the EPN pen. So obviously the key differentiator between this device and other needling pens in the market is that it combines microneedling with electroporation. So it is a medically certified device. It's got 5 intensity levels of electroporation. It's got 3, so you have individual tips that click on, click off, and go directly into the skin. It has a smooth motor application, so you get a very smooth very rapid insertion of needle. They actually have 3 different chambers within them, and each one of those chambers prevents backflow, so that you have a triple locking system in play once the needle is clipped onto the pen to prevent any backflow. Okay, we're going to come on and have a bit more of a look at the EPN pen in a moment. Now, I'm conscious that when we screen share over a webinar, the image loses its resolution. So I apologise if this is a really lovely result from Nicoletta Ricci, which is just after 1 session of microneedling with the EPN pen. So really nice improvement, well as I can, but I'm sure it's still, again, a little bit blurry, but what you're looking at is a much improved coloration of the skin and a removal of these little pitted acne scars in this area here, really evened out and nice and rejuvenated in that particular area. So this was 3 sessions of EPN treatment. Here is a lovely one. So you can see some very deep lines across the chest area, quite a bit of pigment, which has just been dramatically rejuvenated. And this is 1 session with EPN pen. So a lovely result. And then we do have some images here for hair growth. Anyone's particularly interested in this, we've got some interesting, it's still early days for us at Lynton in really understanding what this device can do for hair regrowth. So we're really keen, if any of you take this on, to feedback on a regular basis about your results and provide us with your experience. Whenever you launch something new into the marketplace, it's when your users start to play with the protocols, go outside of the boundaries, where we start to get our amazing results. But I mean, that's incredible. It's 1 session a week over 40 days, so it's about 6 sessions, so 1 a week. So it's quite an intense treatment course, but you can see a really obvious improvement in hair regrowth there. And the same again here. So you can see the hair just growing here. So it will increase the fullness and the thickness of hair, as well as actually creating some hair growth. So very good to do if you've got female clients who are just starting to experience perhaps a little bit of thinning. Okay. So this is the EPN pen. It's really easy to operate. I'm going to show you a little video of it now, and then we can have a good old natter with some questions. Yeah. You just turn the dial to alter your needle depth, so from 0.2 up to 2. And then you've just got the 2 things to control. You've got the speed, which is this little on this display here, So a different speed setting, and then an electroporation setting here as well. So you can determine how fast you want to go and how intense you would like that electroporation current to be. Okay, I think we got through that, Jacqui, without it.
And just as you said that, you've just cut
Hopefully
out.
not driving people mad. Oh, really? Oh, no. No, it's never been this bad before, so that's a shame. Let's see how it is now I start to play this video. Right, shall we take some questions, Jacqui? Let me go into the chat box and we'll see. Yeah, it's really interesting. Quite a few people saying really interested in hair regrowth. I think that is a really interesting application with this device, and I'd be delighted if we get lots of customers in the UK using this and giving us as much feedback as possible on it. So Jacqui, Samina is just asking, how long after the treatment would you typically see a result?
Yeah, so well, immediately after treatment, obviously the skin will look a little bit red, maybe a little bit swollen. And I always think already after treatment, it looks great. You get that swelling, you get that slight erythema in the skin, but that's not the full effects. So yes, the skin immediately after can look great, look really plump, but it might take then up to 2 to 4 weeks to see the real results of the treatment. So that can continue for up to 3 to 6 months. So it's gradually continuing that whole process of remodeling, collagen production. So immediately after, it's not unusual to see a result, but we're usually looking at about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks where you see that real result.
Yeah, it's building those literally collagen strands, isn't it? You know, piece by piece. It's removing the debris of damaged collagen. So it does take that 3 to 6 months to really see significant changes in texture. Or actually, I would say it's supposed to take 3 to 6 months. Yeah. But quite often patient satisfaction is much better than that, isn't it? You know, that they actually are feeling like they're seeing a big difference much sooner than that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I guess as well, you know, it depends on how healthy the skin is. So if you're looking after your skin already, your skin's ready for the treatment. So you might see results quicker than that, which, you know, is amazing for things like pitted scarring, where really you kind of haven't got many treatment options with less downtime. Usually they're quite intense treatments that you have to go through. So to have little downtime, an amazing outcome is really, really good.
Yeah. Some other questions here. So I tell my clients it's the investment facial. That's a good way of describing it, isn't it? I like that one.
Absolutely. Like that one.
Is it a course of treatments, and if so, how often?
Yeah, so like any aesthetic treatment, we usually do a course. Your client can see a difference after one. However, it just depends on the concerns of the skin. So if they have deep set wrinkles or acne scarring, we generally suggest a course of 3. Yeah. So a minimum course of 3, but it could be up to a course of 6. So it all depends on the concerns that your client has, really.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And so another question here about whether you would need any anaesthetic.
Yeah, so typically traditional microneedling, I could never do microneedling without any anaesthetic because the needle size was a lot thicker and you're rollering. So then you get the tear, like you said earlier, on the surface of the skin. Yeah. So I guess if you're using a deeper needle, like a 1.5 up to a 2, potentially you might need a slight numbing on the surface of the skin. But also if you're using a shallower needle, anything from a 0.5 to a 1, most of the time the needles are so tiny on this device that you don't really feel much going on at the time. So I guess it all comes down to then your patient tolerance and their pain threshold. I've definitely done it without, so it's not unbearable. You can just feel it slightly.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I don't think I'm perhaps the the bravest person in the world when it comes to having these sorts of treatments done. And so 0.5 for me is about my limit. After that, I'd start to want to use an anaesthetic, but
yeah,
it is really patient to patient, isn't it? So I know that the clinical team in our clinic, when they're treating it, it really comes down to how the particular customer is tolerating it. And I think, you know, at Lynton, our general ethos is always to start on low settings and to increase it. So you will start most of your customers off on say a 0.5 or something like that, and then build them up to, you know, more aggressive needle depths. There's an interesting question about what needle depths can you use, at what stage would you need to be a medic. So it's so confusing, you know, really out there. It's mixed messages from everyone in the industry, really. But essentially, there are no legalities what depth of needles can be used by what people. However, there is guidance that's been issued by, you know, our sort of advisory bodies, so the JCCP and Health Education England, and they differ in what they recommend. So I've written a really interesting blog about this, actually, so I may send it to everyone after the webinar. But generally speaking, anything over 1 mil, it is advised that you are a medic to do that, or 2 mil on the body. What we found when we were doing our research when introducing this device is like with most things. And so you shouldn't do anything, of course, that you're not insured to do. So just speak to your insurance company and check what they advise, because some of them have quite strict guidance over what needles that they'll allow you to use, depending on what qualifications you have. Really, just regarding that. On that note as well, it's worth checking with your local councils just to check, do you need special treatments license, things like that. So most places you don't, but there are some boroughs of London that do. So just check with your council, check with your insurance companies just regarding your treatment procedures and protocols. So I'll just hit play on this video again, and you can see our clinician there just inserting the disposable needle tip. It's really easy to use, the device, and it allows you to, it does have a will run out of power or you'll go into your treatment room and somebody else will have been using it and forgotten to charge it up. So yeah, I thought, okay, well, that's quite a nice feature then, actually, to have it wired. Okay, someone asked me that about the battery versus wired. Does the size of the needle depth depend on the area to cover? It does, doesn't it, Jacqui?
Yeah, so size of the area is in the thickness of the skin. Yeah, so obviously if we're treating around the eyes, and someone had written into the chat earlier about why they like microneedling, because you can treat around the eye, you can treat around the lips, you know, those kind of like smoker's lines that potentially, again, there's not many treatments out there that you can get that close to the eye, especially with the laser. So needle depth would depend on the thickness of the skin that you're treating. So at the moment on the video, Kirsty's treating the cheeks. Generally, we have thicker skin there, so we can go up to maybe like a 1.5 needle. Around the eyes, you're generally a 0.5 to a 0.8. So you definitely need to change your needle depth. And the nice thing about it is that you can twist your needle depth on the handpiece. It's so easy to change. You don't have to put a whole nother new needle in or a whole nother device.
Yeah. And I think you touched on it earlier, but one of the things that does make the EPN pen quite unique is that the needles are ultra thin. And when we say ultra thin, we really mean ultra thin. So it's 0.16 of a millimeter. They are so fine and so thin. And what does that mean? It means you still get the puncture effect of the tissue, so faster healing and also improved risk of side effects as well, less bleeding. You know, 30, 40 needles within one needle tip, actually moving towards a less is more application when it comes to microneedling. Interesting question. With reference to insurance and licensing, do you require a CQC inspection at any point to offer treatment? I don't think so. I've never heard of CQC for microneedling. I know our clinic is CQC registered, so I don't know if we've got any of our clinicians in the audience from our clinic, whether anyone knows the answer to that. No, you don't for CQC, no. Okay, I think I missed some of the questions from earlier on, so let me just whiz back over those.
There was one earlier about, is it suitable for all skin types?
Oh, good question, and yeah.
Would it risk causing keloid scars? So general rule of thumb, we don't treat anyone who is prone to keloid scarring. Obviously, we don't want to risk causing any more keloid scars, but it is safe for all skin types. So as long as there's, you know, no previous history of keloid scars, we can treat all skin types safely with this device.
Okay. Emma's asked an interesting question. Is this similar to the microneedling on the focus jewel? So the focus jewel is radio frequency microneedling. What's the difference between radio frequency microneedling and the EPN pen?
So with radio frequency, we're using heat stimulation. So we're using radio frequency energy. The needles then penetrate into the skin and it delivers that radio frequency a lot deeper, which then signals fibroblast production, collagen, elastin, skin tightening. It's slightly different, obviously, to this device with the fact that we're now putting serums into the skin, which are going to rehydrate the skin or add growth factors. So it allows the cell membrane to open up for that active serum. So slightly different. I guess it's just different technology, isn't it?
Yeah. I would combine the two if I had the choice. Or if you have a focus jewel, then use it in its microneedling only mode with these serums as like a nice light maintenance package after RF microneedling. So the two would really combine very, very well together, wouldn't they, to get the topical interaction as well as the electroporation action as well as the RF microneedling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, good question. Now, Patrick has asked me an interesting question here, and I have to say I don't know the answer, but I will find out for you. But Patrick has asked, as soon as the needle retracts from the skin, the CAMs of the skin will start to close. So how efficient is this process, even with electroporation? Is the serum getting into the skin? So essentially what he's saying there is, the minute the needles come out, you're pretty much, your body's working fast to collapse that channel that you've created. So how is the electroporation happening? Although I can't answer that perhaps as eloquently as I would like, I will speak to our clinical director, Sam Hills, to find the scientific answer to that. The only thing I would say is that there are so many published papers out there talking about electroporation, even without microneedling, that you don't even actually need the channel in the skin for this to happen. In fact, the EPN pen comes with a tip just for electroporation. So it doesn't actually require you to be passing that electric field directly over the area at the time of treatment through that needle channel. The action, clearly is happening in addition to that needle channel or without that needle channel, requiring to be produced. So I will come back to you with a better scientific explanation of that one, but the evidence, our clinical director, Dr. Sam Hills, she has a PhD in drug delivery, and she was telling me about how even 30 years ago, electroporation was a great method to get drugs into the skin. So I'll let her pick that one up at some point. So is it MDA approved? It's MDD approved, so Medical Device Directive for Europe, which is essentially it has a medical CE mark. It's not for sale in America, so it doesn't have FDA, but it does have the medical CE mark for Europe. Okay, I think we might be through quite a lot of the questions there.
I think I just saw one. Someone asked, "Is
we're going to go on now? We're going to talk about exclusive offer." Oh, sorry, I spoke over you there. Go on.
I was just going to say, someone asked if you're double passing. So with the video, is Kirsty double passing?
Yes.
So yeah, we're just kind of going over the whole area. As you can see, there's like even erythema, so you can go back over the same area and just treat over just to stimulate the skin.
Okay, I lost you there for a minute, but I think we're caught up now. Okay, so just a question, would you reuse the same needle head for each client?
No, definitely not.
Oh, Natalia's asked an interesting question. There's new regulations coming out at the end of the year. Is it approved? Yeah, so it's we're actually questioning whether that change in law is going to happen now because of Brexit, because it was a question about whether or not that will actually come into play. But if it does, then yes, it will be compliant with that new device, MDR, the regulation rather than just the directive. The stem cell serum is a really good topical product to give to your customers to use at home. Alongside these treatments, but if you had HSR serum, then you would choose the HSR serum to use in your treatment. So that would be better because it's got that really potent cocktail of growth factors. It's specifically designed to be electroporated into the cells. So I'd definitely say if you had the choice that you would choose that one. Okay. All right, shall we move on for now, and then we'll have more time for Q&A towards the end there. Okay, so what you get a digital marketing pack including social media templates and a 12-month warranty. So that's £2,500 plus VAT. So let's work that backwards into treatments. We would recommend that you're charging £200 per treatment, and really, lots of research into what people are charging for these treatments. I feel that is a good price to position EPN at, with the additional benefits of electroporation and microneedling. So if you were to achieve 3 treatments a week, that would be 6 shy of 30,000 in a year. But 3 treatments a week should be very achievable. And if you can get to 5 treatments a week or even more, then it should be a good solid 50,000 for your business. Repeat revenue. So the interesting thing about the new data we're seeing for needle depth is that lends itself quite well to rather than just necessarily a course of treatment, something that you just do every month for your customer. So electrical muscle stimulation treatment, once a month. This is like the next generation of that, isn't it? It is something that someone can do every single month. That is preventative. So if you are overdoing it with ablation treatments. So if you over-ablate, you can thin the skin, it makes the skin more photosensitive, etc. So this would be like laser ablation. You don't have that thinning issue with microneedling and electroporation. If anything, you have a thickening of the skin. So that means that you're not restricted to a set number of sessions. Now, I say that with your own clinical judgment in mind. Clearly, your needle depth and your use of active ingredients and the mixture of other things that you're doing on the client's skin in and around this particular treatment are going to impact how many treatments you feel are a good level to offer to your customer. But for somebody who, is a younger skin, they're looking for a treatment to bring production up so you don't get that typical 1% a year loss, then it is an ideal treatment for you to keep the skin in great condition, but also for your business, because having really regular, repeat, consistent revenue for your business is it's a great thing. Your accountants absolutely love it. It's a great thing for when you come to eventually let your business go and retire in the lap of luxury. So what are Lynton going to do to support you and make sure that you get your return on investment with your EPN pen? So we have devised an offer for you that is exclusively available for those of you that are on our launch evening with us now. And I just want to take a moment just to talk you through the background of this a little bit more and just describe exactly what it is that we're doing. So we're actually going to be providing you with a free 1 day of business coaching with your EPN pen. And what we're going to teach you within that 1 day is like mini masterclasses on what we feel are the most in-demand areas of business strategy needed. So we sort of get a feel, we really do get a feel for what your challenges are, where the areas are that you'd like to spend time looking at and investigating. So what we're doing is a full day event with you. It will be free of charge. You'll join us on Zoom. So it will be like this, but it will be more interactive because you'll be able to talk, you'll be able to show your video, have conversations with each other, and it will be a full day event. And what we're going to cover within there is we've essentially written a 90-day launch plan for the EPN pen. So we've got the first 90 days of social media posts all planned out for you, ready to go. So that's one of the elements that we'll be covering within this day. We've got social media templates for you to use. We'll be talking to you about how to create social media posts in Canva. We'll be talking to you about how to schedule social media posts ahead of time using tools like Facebook Business Suite. We're also then going to spend some time going into but the other thing that's really sort of secondary to that is your website. And so we're going to go into the nitty-gritty of your EPN page on your treatment menu, talking to you about titles, meta titles, tags, talking to you about the content for keyword analysis, talking about how you get engagement and interaction on your pages. So really delving into the detail of that. We're going to talk to you also about connecting with micro influencers. So this doesn't necessarily mean people with 600-700 100,000 followers. We're talking about micro influencers, a really interesting way to promote your business locally with micro influencers. And then we're jamming quite a lot into this day. We're also going to be talking about mastering blogs. So if you've never written a blog, you'll have written one by the end of this day. And we're going to give you all the tips and techniques and all the information that you need to master blogs. And that's not even really the exciting part, none of that for this day. The most exciting part is that we're actually going to teach you how to launch a product in a very unique and interesting way in the aesthetics industry. So most people, when they take on a new device, they will launch it by putting it onto their website, doing some social media activity, maybe emailing their customers, doing a few little videos to go on their socials, etc. But essentially, launching the product like all in one go, telling your customers absolutely everything about the device, all in one big brain dump, essentially. And that is not as successful as it could be when it comes to product launch. So we instead highly recommend whenever you launch a product, you use these basic fundamentals of a market. Teach you what each of those terms mean. Oh, hang on, I think my connection's gone a bit funny again. Let me slow down. Okay, not too many comments about my bad signal, so I'll keep going. I'll have a quick look at the Q&A actually. One sec. Okay, all right, good. We seem okay. I'll carry on. So we're going to teach you how to do an absolute gold standard product launch. And I mean, the tools and the techniques that we're going to share with you during this day, they're going to be so useful for every single thing that you launch in the future. These are tried and tested marketing techniques. They're actually used really frequently in the wider world of marketing, but just really not used very well at all within aesthetics. And you'll be amazed at the increase in engagement that you get from your customer base. You'll be amazed at the excitement that it's your pen within a month. Like easily you will pay off your pen within a month. We are going to teach you everything that you need to do to make sure that you hit the ground running, and not just that you get an influx of customers immediately, but how do you continue to do that over the course of several years. We're really going to be sharing with you, some of the fundamentals of making sure that people stick with your business long term, that they're clients for life rather than just to solve a problem that they have. And yeah, we're so excited by this. It's working so incredibly well for some of our other Lynton customers with the Focus Dual device. And so we're really excited to share these techniques, with all Lynton customers, and to get everybody in the world of Lynton just being absolute masters when it comes to launching new products in your clinic. So I'll give you a little bit of a sort of sneaky peek of what I mean by that in terms of this sort of signaling phase. Rather than just putting the product onto your menu and telling people all about it, you're going to go through quite a long-winded stage of just teasing people. So posts like this, which then underneath them say virtually nothing about what the treatment is. They just say something new is coming soon, and they just tease and excite people. And we do this for quite a prolonged period of time, and it actually is amazing the engagement and the excitement that you can build up in your customers by launching a product in this way. And then Entice is a whole different ball game as well, but I can't go into all of the secrets now. So on our launch day, we'll go through all of that in a lot more detail. And all of the things on this, so there'll be quite a lot to cover within the day, but it will be so worthwhile, as I said, for anything that you launch in the future. So that is what you get exclusively if you order an EPN pen, and I'm going to give you a code so that when you go onto our website, you can order the pen and you can put this code in, and that code is what will entitle you with the purchase of your pen to have this free 1 day of business coaching. And I might also add that, of course, that does include as well a free microneedling masterclass. So it's a 4-hour microneedling masterclass. So you've got theoretical overview in there, followed by a more hands-on practical session with the EPN pen. And yeah, we'll go into just what we've spoken, get hands-on in there as well, so you get a really good understanding of the device in action. And then we test you at the end, just because we're nice like that. So if you are interested in joining this little EPN pen journey and being among the first clinics in the UK to have EPN pen, and join us on this journey, do the business coaching day with us and launch your device like an absolute pro, then all you need to do is order a pen and use this particular code when you go to our website to do so. So if you'd like to order your EPN pen, you just go to lynton.co.uk and you find EPN in the products tab. So just at the top of the menu, you see products. You go into products and you find EPN pen, and that will put you on the EPN. Now you go through the motions of purchase. You use code Lynton launch, so it's 2,500 plus the VAT. If you put in that code Lynton launch, that will be microneedling masterclass, and it's only available for those of you that are on the webinar with us tonight. I should add, if you have already purchased an EPN pen, of course you are more than welcome. You can get your microneedling masterclass and you can join us on the business coaching day. We'd be delighted to have as many of you as we can get, so that we've got a wonderful team of clinics all going through the same journey at the same time, and being the first in the UK to move forwards with. Standing up now, Jacqui, if you're available to pop back in, and we'll just answer any last questions that people have. How was that connection, Jacqui? Did it
it was a little bit in and out. I think we've got a few questions on what comes in the package, and how much the disposables cost. So
consumables, yes. Okay, so sorry, I was just distracted by the chat as well there. Okay, so consumable cost, good question. I should put a slide in about that. So it is £295 for 24 needles, and so let me do this the easiest one. Then per patient, full face and neck, that is about £20 plus VAT. However, we do offer a consumable contract. So if you sign up to agree to take a box of needles and a box of serum every month for 6 months, then you get a 10% reduction in that price. So that goes down to about £18. So that comes down by a total of 15%. So that actually makes it about £17 per customer that you treat. So if you just pay as you go, it's going to be £20, and that's the serum and the needle. If you're just using the needle and not the serum, it's about £12.50, something like that, for the actual needle. So the pen is 2,500 plus VAT. It's £20 per patient if you're using the needle and the serum. That comes down to either £18 or £17, whether you sign up for 6 months or 12 months consumable content, or if you're just using the needle on its own, that will be about £12.50. Any other questions, Jacqui?
So there's another question then about, just scroll up, there's so many things going on. So is it half a day online training, a full day online training?
So I say full day just because when we run these days, we tend to chat a lot and they always run over. The bulk of the information will be from say 10 till 3, something like that. If someone has to duck out early, then it will be recorded so they can always catch up, you know, in 2 halves rather than doing it all in one go. It would be good if you had, it would be good if you're, you know, you're coming to attend for the full day. I haven't booked a date in yet. I'm waiting to see how many clinics we're talking about, but I'll probably put it in about 4 weeks time, so something like that. So if it's the case that we you know, that's not enough time for people, I'm happy to back that out a little bit, or I'm even happy to do it over a couple of evening sessions as well, break it up that way. So we'll try and work it out as best we can to keep everyone happy, get as many people on as once as we can.
I think Charlotte's just put in the chat as well about the needles, the prices, so that's all in the chat with all your consumable prices. Someone's just asked about qualification requirement. Yeah. So that's all down to your local council and also your insurers. So it would be double checking if you need maybe a special treatment license, but also whether your insurers, you know, most insurers, we're happy to give you a list of insurers that will insure you with the microneedling pen, but you will be fully manufacturer trained by the end of it. So we provide that all for you. Amazing. It's very hard to keep up with these questions when they keep firing. How do I make this bigger? Let's have a look.
So someone's asking, who does the one-day coaching, different people or particular Lynton staff? So it's a mix. So it's going to be a mix of myself and we've got some a company joining us to do like an Instagram masterclass as well. So a bit of a mix, a combination, keep you from being bored of one speaker for the whole day. How long does the treatment take, Jacqui?
So it could be anywhere between, I guess it depends what you're treating. If you're treating a full face, half an hour to 45 minutes. If you're treating face, neck and chest, it might be an hour. It's quite a quick treatment.
Yeah. Okay.
And then someone just asked about how often you can repeat a treatment.
Someone's asked about financials. Oh, okay, yeah. Do you want to answer that one?
So depending on your needle depth, if you're using a smaller needle like a 0.5, you could potentially do it every 2 weeks. Obviously the hair, that was weekly. So hair restoration, that was a weekly treatment.
Yeah.
If you're using a bigger needle depth, like a 1.5, maybe every 4 weeks, just as long as the skin is healed before you do your next treatment.
Would one serum do full face, neck and chest? Yeah, it goes a long way. The only thing I would say is if they're really dehydrated, it can just disappear more quickly, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you get the skin in as, but yeah, I don't think we've ever needed more than one. What would be the result if no serum is used in a treatment? It would be a great microneedling treatment still. So if you can basically turn the electroporation off if you're not using serum and you're just doing microneedling. So yeah, as expected results, then yeah. Is the training online? Yes, so the training is either virtual or it is at the Lynton clinic. So you have the option, whichever one you would prefer to do. we have a pre-recorded virtual session for you to watch in your own time and to really, be able to use the treatment. It's very easy to get hands-on. Then that is run at the Lynton clinic, so that's just south of Cheshire. Yes, you can treat the body. It is hard to keep up with the chat. There's quite a lot, isn't there? Right. Bouncing back and forth. I'm really sorry if we've missed a question. I'm really sorry. There's an email address on the bottom of this slide here. It's just info@lynton.co.uk. By all means, if you've more detailed questions, if there's anything that we've not picked up on so far, then just drop us a line at info@lynton.co.uk. If you don't want to purchase tonight, oh, okay, let me rephrase that. So the offer is on until 5 p.m. tomorrow. Okay, so you've got until 5 p.m. tomorrow to use that code to get the free business coaching and the free masterclass. Okay, so you've got until 5 o'clock tomorrow to take us up on that particular offer. If that timing doesn't work for you, then of course, you can still make an inquiry about the EPN pen. If you've got more questions, if you want to chat more in depth with us, if you want to have a one-to-one session with our clinical team, one of our product managers, then we can arrange that as well. So again, if you just go to the Lynton.co.uk, just go to the Lynton.co.uk website, and then in the little products tab, you find EPN Pen. Go to the EPN Pen product page, and there's a little button on there that says Inquire Now. So if you just click in that button, Inquire Now, it'll ask you to pop your details in. And then you can just submit your details that way, and we'll pick that up. That's a bit tight, but we need to think of the financial access. And someone's put, oh no, I want the offer, but won't have the funds until the 8th. Okay, well, you can I'm going to put my email address in the chat. And for those of you that need a little bit more time, you can drop me a line. And we'll sort something out for you. What we've also got as well is, because some of the questions are coming up again, I think as we've been losing connection, some people haven't quite heard the answers. We've actually got, Jacqui's put together for us a really good document, which is frequently asked questions. And so that covers things like the qualifications, insurance, needle depths, all sorts of things like that. So what I'll do is, everyone who's attending the webinar this evening, I will send you over that document as well. So we've got like some really nice detailed answers in there about the common questions that you would have with microneedling. Right, Jacqui. I think we'll round it up there. And there's some really great interaction on tonight's webinar. It's so nice to see you all. I'm sure there are some questions that we haven't quite got round to, but please do send myself an email. That's just hjones@lynton.co.uk. I've popped it into the chat, and you've also got info@lynton.co.uk as well. Get on with your code utilization with Lynton launch on the EPN Pen website, and I'm really looking forward to seeing as many of you as we can on our business coaching day, so you can do an absolute gold standard launch with it. Great. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Oh, thanks for lovely feedback. Great, super. See you all later.